Former RT Current Affairs presenter Brian Farrell has died at the age of 85. He's best known for presenting programmes such as Today Tonight and Prime Time.
For 40 years, Brian Farrell was the face and the voice of RTE's current affairs coverage every general election.
Taoiseach, how much of a victory is this for you? It's scarcely a resounding victory.
Every state funeral.
And now they bear the dead chief through the streets to the formal lying in state.
Every event of national importance, starting with 1963 and the state visit of John F. Kennedy.
I remember it well. I cut my teeth as a commentator on radio under the watchful and helpful eye of Sean Mochraman.
The 1973 general election saw a first, a Taoiseach conceding defeat live on television.
Any concessions as yet, or do you wait for the bitter end?
But accepting the fact that we're not likely to exceed 70 seats, obviously the coalition will now form a government.
4 years later, Jack Lynch was back on air, regretting the size of his new majority.
If it's tight, they'll behave themselves. But if you're doing too well, they'll cause trouble for you, which indeed they did.
The new Taoiseach is likely to be Mr. Charles J. Haughey by a narrow margin of about 6 votes.
The rivalry between Charles Haughey and Garret FitzGerald was played out in a series of elections and, in another first, a series of televised leaders' debates.
Tonight, for the first time, the Taoiseach and the Leader of the Opposition face each other in television debate.
The rest of what you're saying is just rubbish.
That is a load of codswallop.
You made a monumental blunder.
It was an appalling thing for Fianna Fáil to have done.
Born in Manchester in January 1929, Brian Farrell's parents brought him back to Ireland on the outbreak of the Second World War. He worked in UCD, first in administration and later as a groundbreaking lecturer in political science. He wrote seminal books on Irish politics, on Sean Lemass, on the First Dáil and, in Chairman or Chief, on the role of the Taoiseach. He and his wife, Marie-Therese, had 7 children. But for many, Brian Farrell will always be remembered for his presence on our television screens.
You called it, you didn't have to, you made a judgment, it was a political judgment and it backfired.
Always well informed, always polite, but never afraid to ask the hard question.